Caillou was one of the greatest educational series in the late 90s. It was mainly focused on kids and was for the sole purpose of teaching children how to behave and communicate with respect towards each other. With 5 beautiful seasons, the show is still one of the greatest when it comes to morals and virtues. Today we are going to have a look at every single character that featured in the show, from the kids to the adults, then briefly look at some of the original voices and people who took part behind the scenes, and how old they are in 2025. And we shall begin with the main boy named Caillou, who was a 4-year-old boy that was very friendly and adorable. He was so adventurous and full of energy, and also very curious to every little detail around him. Unlike other kids, Caillou was completely bald with not even a single strand of hair on his head. He was caring to his friends and parents, and never wanted to hurt the feelings of either. He always asked new questions in every episode as a way of learning something new. In the first season, Caillou always lost his temper when things didn't go his way and always caused blissful tantrums. But after parents and viewers complained to the studios about his bad behavior and the negativity he had to the kids, he was made into a more well-behaved child who always listened and obeyed his parents. The first version of Caillou was voiced by the late Jacqueline Linitsky, who was a Canadian actress that was in 4 movies and shows during her time. She was born in 1986, but sadly passed away 17 years later in 2003 from a car accident while on her way to the studio. She succumbed from trauma and burns after the car collided with a 20-foot semi-truck. Other people who took over the role of Caillou include Boris was the father of Caillou and Rosie, and also the husband to Doris. He was always seen wearing a green sweater with red trims, and also some blue pants and red shoes. He was a friendly and a calm person who was just the father figure in the show. He loved and cared for both his parents and his family, and always supported Caillou in his childish adventures. The only problem he had was that he was so permissive to his kids and always gave them everything they wanted, which is good but does not teach the kids to appreciate what they have. He was a construction worker in Canada and was just seen once in a while throughout the series. He was voiced by Pat Fry. And now to Doris, who was Caillou's mother and a moral figure in the show. She loved wearing a long-sleeved red sweater, some blue pants and blue shoes with green soles. She was 29 years old, and was in almost every episode in the show. Just like her husband, Doris was very friendly and permissive to her kids, and was sometimes known to become serious when Caillou was misbehaving. She was a housewife who took care of everything in the house, from cooking to cleaning and even to looking after the hyperactive kids running wild in and out of the house. This queen was voiced by Jennifer Seguin. Rosie was the little sister of Caillou. She was 2 years old almost throughout the show. When Caillou first met her, he did not like her because he always wanted to be the baby of the house. But he later became warmer and more loving to her in the later episodes. She was more gentle than Caillou, but also had her own level of stubbornness when it came to crying and playing with Caillou and her toys. Her passion was crying. She cried when she was not included in activities. She cried when she got included. She cried when playing with her brother. She cried when playing alone. Nothing could stop her from crying when she wanted to. Either way, she was generally nice and was just going through the normal stages of being a baby. She was voiced by Bridget Tierney. Grandma had no official name, and was the mother of Boris and the grandmama of Caillou and Rosie. She was in her 50s or early 60s, and was known to be a lover of art. She had her own art room where she did her hobbies, and also loved cooking and making desserts. Sometimes she went to the park with Caillou to watch and feed the birds, and during her extra free time, she played her piano. And when Doris and Boris were not around, she was the one babysitting and looking after the kids. She also had a lot of friends in the nursing home, and would visit them and also teach them how to dance. She was a very active lady throughout the show, and was voiced by Pauline Little. Miss Martin was the young playschool teacher of Caillou. She started off in daycare, then later in playschool. She ran the entire school by herself, and no other employee was known to work there. She was so nice to the kids and always understood their language. The children loved her and the parents trusted her. She helped the kids in both the studying area and the physical area. It was the beautiful voice of Ellen David which voiced her. Gilbert was the pet cat of Caillou and the entire household in general. He appeared in all the episodes since the first season and is well recognized with his gray fur and a blue spot on the right of his head. He was adopted by Doris when he was just a small kitten, and he grew up with Caillou as good friends. We also learnt that he hated dogs, especially the neighborhood dog that was so huge and loud. Not much was known about Gilbert, and he was just a supporting character. He was voiced by a puppeteer known as Bob Stutt. Clementine was a 4-year-old girl and the best friend of Caillou. We were first introduced to Clementine when Caillou joined the daycare. She was nice to him and even showed him around the daycare. She mostly included Caillou in most of her activities like picking berries and even celebrating Kwanzaa with her family. She really understood Caillou more than anybody else and actually had a crush on him. She was a lover of teddy bears. She loved color blue and was also a tomboy. This fun-loving girl was voiced by Sophie Uretsky. Leo was another friend of Caillou. When we first saw him, he was being mean to Caillou, but they later became good friends. Just like Clementine celebrated Kwanzaa and Caillou celebrated Christmas, Leo was Jewish, so he and his family celebrated the Hanukkah. He had orange hair, as you can see, and mostly wore a yellow shirt with a red long-sleeve shirt underneath. His favorite color was green, and also had a hamster and a goldfish as pets. He was voiced by Johan Garno. And now to a lady known as Julie, who appeared as Caillou's and Rosie's babysitter. As usual, the kids did not like her at first, but after getting to know her better, they started vibing with her. She played dress-up with them and also fun games like hide-and-seek, and was really fun to be around with. She appeared consecutively in the first 3 seasons before disappearing completely. The kids loved her and were sad every day when she was leaving for the day. Her drip was mostly a large coat, blonde hair with a ponytail, red pants, and orange shoes. She was voiced by Holly Gauthier-Frankel. Alan was a 5-year-old kid who lived in the same neighborhood as Caillou, and was also just as playful and imaginative as his fellow children. He had difficulty in doing activities like climbing and swimming because he had Down syndrome. Sarah was one of Caillou's close friends and his next-door neighbor who was of Chinese ethnicity. And finally Grandpa, who was the husband of Grandma and the father to Boris. He loved doing things like fishing, telling stories to his grandkids, and also exercising his body.